Hello and welcome back to the monthly Classics World Team Chat vodcast. We still haven't come up with a name for this.
No.
We should be a bit more professional. But this time we're being very topical because as we film this, in fact, the sun has come out, gentlemen. Spring has sprung, summer is on the way, it's going to get warmer, it's going to get drier, and that means you can have a convertible car at last. So we thought we'd run down our picks of different convertibles for different budgets. So if you fancy getting a bit of a suntan this summer, here are our classics that we think you should choose. Roll credits. So we've sorted our picks into three categories, up to £10,000, and that means anything from 2001 up to 10,000, so it's quite a broad range. 10,001 to 20,000, and then unlimited money no object. And at the end, we are going to do a little few bargain basement picks as well. So, Mr. Whedon, up to £10,000 convertibles. Hit me. Let's have three of your choices, please.
Right. Well, first of all, what I'd like to say, this was the hardest thing for me because I ended up with a list of about 10.
Yeah, you love a convertible
per category, which didn't help at all.
You love a convertible, don't you? Yeah.
The other interesting point I noticed when I was researching choices is actually many of my choices spanned the pricing categories.
Yes, I have.
In other words, there were some that you could get for less than 10, or you could get them for £19,000, and it was often on mileage or condition. So some of my choices probably could live in multiple price categories.
Okay.
I'm peering over your shoulder right now, and I can see I've put a car from your.
So there we go. We probably should have swapped notes beforehand, right?
We don't plan this enough, clearly.
So I'll quickly rattle through some of my thought processes. I kind of wanted to do it's not about out and out sports cars. It can sometimes just be about a drop top that you can just poodle down.
Waft along, yeah.
And that sort of stuff. So one of my cars I always hanker to own is a Morris Minor convertible.
Oh, great choice.
Rattly, old school, you're never going to go fast, but pick a nice English country road on a summer's day.
Charming buckets.
Lovely.
Yeah, big fun.
One of these we've actually owned because we did it in the Trading Up series, a Mark I Golf Cabrio.
Oh, what a choice. Carmen built those as well.
Yeah, and we had one of those, a really good condition one, which I sold to a neighbour, so I still see it every now and again. And I'm quite envious of. I wish I'd almost not sold it on.
They're great cars.
You can stretch for a GTI Mark I Golf Cab.
Well, that's what we did. I think we paid about
less than that.
six and a bit for our GTI one.
We've always said that the Cabrio is the clever way into a Mark I GTI because they're a half or a third the price of a hatch.
Yeah.
So I think even if you didn't go with a GTI and you just went with a Clipper or something like that, you still get a nice open top experience.
Yep.
Classic-y enough to be charming, modern enough to be dependable,
reliable, well-built.
You could daily that even when
roll
it
bar
rains.
to make sure you don't kill yourself.
Exactly, and all that sort of stuff.
Cool car.
But of course, the car I really sort of hanker after, and again we owned one years ago on the fleets, was Triumph Herald.
Oh.
And again, it's quite sickening to see how the prices have gone up, I suppose. You're almost certainly going to go into rust territory if you go too cheap. But I did spy one, and we can cut this into the
that's not
into
Herald.
the clip.
There we are.
Yeah, but there was one I spotted for sale, 7,250. It's in charming condition and
7,250.
But you can do a lot of those because it's on that sort of basic construction. They spawn the Vitesse and the Spitfire off.
Yes.
You can put a 2 litre in it. You can change the suspension. You can put an MX-5 gearbox in it. Yeah, they're great cars and for the money.
And that was actually the one we had a 1500 engine in it.
Perfect.
So actually it was just a little bit more sprightly for modern conditions.
I think they're charming.
So that would be my sub 10k choice. A few years ago, that would have been a sub 3k choice.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah,
you can't get that anymore. But anyway, so
go on then, sir.
Well, coming up at probably the lower end of our £10,000 budget, I was looking at MGTF.
Okay.
Which little new, but again, MG was finally back. They made an open top sports car, back to the bread and butter. Especially after a very recent video of ours where we may or may not have derided some of their 80s options.
Sorry.
Then we have Old Reliable, tried and true by myself. I know we said we can't do our own cars, but BMW E30 convertible, nice and simple. I had a coupe, not a convertible, so I can say convertible, just saying.
You can.
You're probably going to be in a 318. It's not going to be a 6-pot, but it's still a great
I've never driven an E30 Cabrio. Is it a bit scuttle shaky?
They're not too bad.
They're not that bad. It is a little bit scuttle shaky, but any convertible from the 80s.
You might get a 320.
I think they're really good looking.
320, you're stretching it. It won't be a nice 320.
No.
But E30 prices in general have been going up. Oh no. But yeah, you'll probably be in a 318 if you want a nice one.
Great looking car though.
Yes. Great
Again,
looking
modern enough
car.
to be reliable,
And
dependable.
you can fit 4 people in it.
Yeah,
at
genuinely.
squeeze, so really can't really complain. Unlimited headroom, as with all of our examples.
It's very, very helpful when
Very
you're as
good
tall
for
as us.
myself.
So,
Yeah. And my final choice, Johnny Smith has got one. It's the 986 Boxster, affectionately called the Ghetto Boxster.
Can we stop sleeping on these?
They
They're
are
so
still
cheap.
so cheap. I do not understand how they are still so cheap. You could probably even get an S for under 10,000.
Easily.
People just scared of
Easily.
looking after them.
I think it's
to a degree, but
Maybe.
again, you keep an eye on your IMS and you kind of just laugh.
specialists exist, and
Yeah.
actually, that you could buy. I've seen them for less than 3.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. Our friends at SWVA had one that sold for, what was it, just over 4?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
That was nice.
So they are around. It's even possible, and I'll give a little shout out to Top Dead Centre here, who got a Boxster S manual with under 80,000 miles for 3 and a bit thousand quid.
There you go.
What? I mean, there is no better car for that money. Come on, that's
thank
fantastic.
you. Your turn, good sir.
Well, yes. So the second best. So my
You've admitted defeat already.
yes, exactly. No, you've got to be humble. My theory with the convertibles thing was primarily, apart from when you get later on in this, primarily I went for cars that were convertibles from the get-go, because a lot of cars, you take the roof off, it ruins them. They make scuttle shake, they leak, they don't drive as well. So I primarily went for cars that were drop tops by design, or they came out at the same time.
There's a line there, isn't there? Because you either go drop tops by design or you just go roadsters
Exactly.
that are open top.
So my first choice is one you could only get. In fact, all my cheap ones are that you can only get as convertible. The Honda Beat. You know how much
You
I
very much enjoyed that one you drove.
It was just great fun, only as a convertible, and I think they're all the better for it because the engine is only that far from you anyway. And when you've got the roof off, you can hear the individual throttle bodies wailing, and you get a bit of wind in your hair. It's just great fun. Like, go and watch our video on that, and please don't buy them all before I've got one. Great fun. And I
Can't be
think
that many in the
well,
country.
quite.
by that rate, you can also say cappuccino. You can
Yeah,
also
quite.
say-
I thought the Beat more because you get more benefit with the Beat because it's mid-engine. With the roof off, you've got more noise going on behind you, whereas with a front-engine car, the noise is going on there or there. You know, you kind of. I like a mid-engine convertible, so yeah, I think that is a great one. And because it's Honda, it's been engineered properly, so there is no scuttle shake. Wonderful car. Next one, I've gone totally different, but also factory convertible. R129 Mercedes SL.
Ah, yes.
Because
Solid.
the R107 boat has sailed.
I looked,
Yeah.
at those as well, R129s. Very tempting.
You're not getting a 107 for £10,000 anymore, sadly. So that ship has sailed, but you are going to get your choice of 129s. I mean, upwards of sort of £3,000.
Yeah.
You could get a 6-pot car. You're into the V8s at kind of the upper
What
end
did
of
you
that.
do, 6 or V8?
Probably V8, I think, because
Really.
for me, they're a little bit weedy with the 6s. They don't quite. They're still lovely,
Yeah.
and I won't deride anyone who has one, but I think a bit of muscle goes a long way in those cars.
Well,
and
on that note, actually, speaking of 6s, we have just filmed a 129 230 twin test, so keep an eye out
stay
for
tuned.
that.
But yeah, I think they're great. I think apart from possibly 190Es, the 129 is the bargain Mercedes right now. For what you get for the money, I mean, the sort of look at even for the money, the £5,000 you pay for a 129 compared to the £5,000 you'd pay for an XK8 or its equivalent, you get so much more car for your money with the Mercedes. And if you get the right year, they're dependable, they're well
I'm going to say
built,
still
They
good
are
club
really
support,
well
good
put
part
together.
support.
and they got the Royal Seal of Approval because Diana had one, don't you know?
Yeah.
There you go.
did.
You almost have to mention her every time when an SL
Yeah.
comes up.
Yeah, it's the
way
same
you
as
do with
Princess
Anne
Anne
and the
with the
Scimitar,
Scimitar.
exactly.
Yeah.
Princess
Yes.
Anne had one, you know. And finally, I've gone British, simple, small, convertible. I've mentioned these before and I will mention them again. MG Midget.
Yeah.
You can get
Solid.
midgets for under 10,000 quid easily, whether you want 1,500 or you want the 1275.
I had MG Midget on my list and I thought, you know what, I reckon Joe's going to pick that one.
You're
so I took
quite
it off.
right.
So there we are.
Again, they're great fun. They're just everything about the Honda Beat. But if you want the more classic feel, so you get the chrome, you get the wood, you get everything else. You can modify them to your heart's content. You can supercharge them if you want. You can put bigger engines in, lower them, or just enjoy them as what they are, which is a car that is this big with infinite fun. Just all of them. In fact, I'm not sure the fun would fit in this room, but a midget would probably. But yeah, I'm aware. You've said before that I don't look like I fit in them because I do sit above the windscreen frame. But honestly, if it means I'm sitting on it, there's no better car to sit on in my eyes. They're just so much fun. They're
Agreed.
brilliant. And
Very
again,
much.
another bargain. The fact you can still get one of those for under 10,000 quid is
Yeah.
Even if you do look like Mr. Incredible.
Loads you can do with them as well. So you can really
Yeah.
tweak them, modify them to suit you.
yeah.
yeah.
And I think I do need to own one.
I applaud your choice. Well
Thank
done,
you, sir. Well, I'll tell you what. Then why don't we double up on this? If you got up to £20,000 or 10,001 plus, what are you spending? What are you buying?
Well, I have to say, this is where the category gets interesting because I think you can get cheaper versions, but I started to look at nice versions
Nice
of
ones,
the
yeah.
breed rather than sort of trying to go overextend myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that a Jaguar didn't make my list.
Yes, so am
Exactly.
I. So am I, actually.
God.
Blimey neck.
I saved it for later.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
But
He's not ill, don't worry.
yeah. So, because obviously an XK8 falls into the bracket
Easily.
and quite a nice one, X100 or X150.
See, I was considering XK, and then I thought, oh, Phil probably got that. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So did I.
So I kind of went a little bit old school. So an MGB Roadster,
Oh,
solid.
and again I think up to 20 you've got your pick of all of the specs. You can go chrome bumpery.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
can you can go proper tradition, mixed standard in terms of
you can modify.
help.
Yeah, you can almost get an MGC for that money if you're that very kind.
So again, I still think I live quite close to Abingdon where they were once built, and I've got quite an affection for them. And as ubiquitous as they are, that is part of their appeal, of course. You've got fantastic club support, loads of parts. Like you say, you can modify them, you can do what you want with them.
We did a video on the channel comparing the rubber bumper and the chrome bumper, both convertibles, and we basically said that it's a cliche, but like most cliches, that's because it's good.
Yeah.
And they are just brilliant fun. And I agree. Yeah,
So MGB Roadster was on my list. A Triumph Stag.
Oh, Stag.
They get a load of jip for the engine, but actually most of the restored examples on the road today, certainly in the UK, their engines have either been replaced by a Rover or equivalent, or actually the original engine is a peach if it's done well and looked after specialists and all that kind of stuff. So a Stag is in there. However, I still haven't a Merc itch I want to scratch.
I've influenced you.
So,
who would have thunk it?
So it's actually the 124 Cabrio that makes my cut.
For a bonus point, what 124?
Well, again,
technically it's
I I can cut to an exact example because I deliberately picked a really nice spec one that came in at 18,950.
Okay.
An E320 Sportline, 1995. But it's just, again, you can buy cheaper ones and smaller engine derivatives for a lot less.
Yeah.
But at that height, but at 18,950, I'm getting a really top spec,
Nice one.
nice example.
Yeah. Well
I
kept,
think you could
well put
enjoy.
together.
You could really enjoy that, and I think that would be a keeper.
There
It
aren't
would
many.
last you a long time.
Yeah.
wouldn't it?
There aren't many classier cars for that amount of money. I don't think. Seriously,
And
roof down, nice
Not many
spec.
E-class.
Not many E-class. Very
There you
good.
go, sorry.
Yeah. No. I'm
And
great choice.
four-seater, kids in the back,
Love it.
rock solid.
Love it. I'd have that over the equivalent BMW. I think.
Yeah.
And Jag and most other things actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no surprises there for me.
Go on then, sir. Are we going to get a BMW from you then?
What we oh, actually, yeah, we are.
We did the script.
I thought, oh no, I've actually already said my BMW. No, there isn't another one. Right, so starting with what isn't the BMW, Fiat 124 Spider.
Ooh.
Yes, you're not going to get in a bath,
Nope.
not for that kind of money,
No.
but at the very top end, you're getting a very nice standard 124.
Lovely.
Just lovely Italian, basically Italian MGB.
Yeah.
You're laughing. I mean, just picture yourself driving down the Amalfi Coast. Just
Yeah. Bit of Matt Monroe going on.
Yeah,
Sunglasses.
on days like these.
Oh, yes. Gorgeous.
Next up, Morgan 4.4.
Whoa.
Not the fastest Morgan in the world, but quick enough. I mean, it's made of wood, for Christ's sakes. How fast do you want to go?
They're great cars.
Great bit of fun. I mean, Morgan, a Morgan is a Morgan. They've looked pretty much the same to this present day. In fact, they've just announced a new one. Have you guys seen that?
I haven't seen. There you go.
It's still BMW
Breaking
powered,
news.
but bloody quick they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, not quite here, but still very nice, very cool, very classy.
Yeah, we like
Good
those.
choice, like that.
And finally, if we did want something that was actually quite quick, E36 BMW M3 you can get sub 20
you?
very, very easily. Sub 15 in
Yeah,
a lot
actually.
of cases. You keep
Yeah.
an eye on some auctions.
That's a
sites.
left
They are
field
up
choice,
there.
you know.
They are very good. You can get an Evo actually. You can get an
Yeah.
Evolution if you want the extra 20 or so horsepower.
I think the 36 M3 has aged so well. They
Yeah,
look fantastic.
I used to hate the way they looked. It's that in-between spot of the boxiness of the E30 and the slightly more curvaceous nature of the 46. But I think the convertible 36 looks a heck of a lot better than the convertible 46 does.
I think that looks fantastic.
I don't think it holds a candle to the 30, but I think it's a lovely bit of kit. It's
Yeah.
supposed to drive pretty well. Granted, it's it's a 20-year-old,
Sounds awesome.
30-year-old M3,
Yeah.
so it's not going to be the quickest car in the world, but it'll be quicker than
Well, see, I owned an
Golf GTI would
E36.
You did?
convertible.
Oh, you did, didn't you?
M3.
Yeah.
M3.
and
Sadly, it wasn't worth 20 grand, but
No.
But no, but even as a base platform, it's a great car. So you chuck an M3 engine in it and you're laughing.
that's a peach
That's
of
a
a
cool
choice.
choice.
Well
Thank you
done.
kindly.
So one of my choices was actually the MGB, but since you've taken that, I'm going to have a Jaguar XK8 instead.
Very good.
Personally, I would go.
You get XKR for 20 grand.
You would. You get. I personally wouldn't go for an R convertible because I think when you put the bigger wheels and the stiff suspension, you get a
Particularly on
bit
the
too much
X100.
scuttle shake.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the X150 wasn't bad when we.
No, yeah,
X150
the X100's worse for the big wheels and everything.
Personally, I would go X150 convertible, but I'd go non-R because I think you're not going to be doing. You don't need 500 horsepower in a convertible. 350, 400 is plenty. So I would go X150, XK convertible, preferably the facelift one because I think the facelift is really nice. But X100's a fantastic car in their own right. But just
loads of choice at that money as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't go for an X100R convertible because I think it's trying to do too many things at once there, and it doesn't really pull it off quite right.
Yeah, lovely.
Moving on, another Triumph TR6. So because
solid.
we're in a turbulent time for the market at the moment, TR6s were right up there at sort of nudging 50 grand. There are plenty of examples, and you can go and look now, under 20,000 quid. They might be left-hand drive, they might be imports, but they're good cars you can use. Go and watch the TR6 review on the channel, because I thought it was great
lovely
fun.
magenta bit kit. That
was gorgeous. That's the colour I'd have. I think they're
Again,
absolutely stunning.
I've seen some lovely sort of just lightly modified. People put modern seats in them, MX-5 seats and things like that, just to make them a bit
really
more
well.
comfortable on a longer
I
journey.
think the one you drove.
Yeah, it did have MX-5 seats.
Yeah.
I think what it is, if you like the idea of a big Heeley, but you don't want something that's so brutal and so uncomfortable and so that makes you work for it every time, the TR6 is a really nice middle ground, and I think they're lovely.
Just keep an eye on the spec though, because some of them have different power.
Yeah. Don't get the low power one.
Check it out, buyer's guide.
Exactly. Click the link. And finally, another British convertible two-seater rear-wheel drive, bit more modern, TVR Chimera. Because again,
nice choice.
Plenty for under 20,000 quid.
Death
You can have it as a Targa top. You can put the roof off entirely, and I think that was a real turning point for TVR because you got all the TVR madness and the mad styling and the big V8 and all the rest of it, but it's livable and the quality is reasonable and they're reliable. And apart from the chassis outriggers, they don't rot because they're plastic.
Yep.
And yeah, I cannot recommend enough. Our friend Kitch, up and down from Southwest Automotive, massively recommends
He's a
Chimera.
TVR specialist.
He is indeed. So you
Yes,
can go to there to get all your servicing done.
And if you do like a Trevor, I just drove one actually.
Yes, coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon. Lovely little red wedge.
Yes, so
keep an eye out
Chimera for me is that is another one of my cars that is on my I must own this before I can't afford one list, because the video we did on the channel comparing it to a big Heeley, I just kept going back out in it because it was just brilliant fun.
Yeah, nice.
But that's a money can't buy experience. But what if we're talking money can't buy money? So say if you had a limitless, like a convertible, no ceiling, you can just go up as high as you want for a convertible.
I was actually, I sorted a well-known auction website things by highest price.
So you've chosen the Ferrari 250 California.
So I ended up with a Bentley S1 Continental, which was up for 1.35 million.
Good Lord.
Right. So I thought maybe that's a bit pushing it. So then I kept going down the price points a bit, and I got to an Aston Martin Volante 5.3.
Ooh,
it was up for 135k. And actually, I thought that was really cool. Like they look in a kind of slightly preposterous way. They're a bit beefy, a bit bulky. They're probably not even that great to drive. I thought it was lovely.
Can I love how down to earth this channel is? That even with an unlimited budget, you look to Rob it's a bit much.
I go lower. I was then looking at Ferraris. A Ferrari needs to be on my list.
Exactly.
So there was a 308 GTS. Does that count as a convertible?
The roof comes off.
Yeah, Targa convertible, sort of. Yeah, I mean, it's the 70s. So
we got some wind in the hair on the channel.
That was up for 89,995. So a proper
rich.
Magnum PI spec.
That is rich. GTS.
But I have admitted I haven't put a Jaguar in my list yet. So
until now.
Right. So I spied a Jaguar E-Type Series 1.5 4.2 1967.
Yeah.
It was up for about £129,000. That's peaky for E-Types, by the way. I think values have softened on E-Types recently. And you can certainly get a Series 3 for a lot less.
Oh God, yeah.
But if you want to go for what I think is the purest spec, Series 1.5, 4.2, classic.
There's a lot to be said for that.
The one you want.
You know, so that's my high days and dry days.
If you don't have the unlimited budget, what about the Challenger replica that we've done a video on the channel?
I beg your pardon.
Yes, I would recommend you go and watch that, because it's amazing how close you can get to an E-Type for not E-Type money. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. I would still want the real deal.
Yeah,
if money's no object.
If money's no object, thanks. I'll have the real McCoy, thank you.
No, fair enough.
Valid.
Over to you, sir.
Right, so I will start with the wild card. Well, the wild card for my little budget here.
Yes.
Chevy Impala, mid-60s.
I was wondering if I was going to do an American one.
6.4 Impala, if you're feeling your easy. Just a hell of a boat, to be honest. It's never going to fit on these roads. It's just got a massive V8 that's never going to take you anywhere fast, but it's going to be plush And if you really want to go full, 80s, 90s spec, you could low ride it. If you really
put hydraulics on it,
yeah. It's really the original sort of low rider shape.
Yeah,
and I think that's
a lot to be said for that.
Yeah. Cruise
well
down
done.
Brighton,
Glad someone
pretend
put an
you're in
American
LA.
car in
Yeah,
there.
there you go.
Well,
Well done.
someone had to. Glad to oblige. Lotus Elan Sprint.
Oh, I wonder why.
I wonder why. Well, spoiler alert, we may or may not have just driven one at our good friends Kim Cairns. An S4, not a Sprint. So, if the S4 was cool, what's the Sprint going to be like?
But
right?
I can't remember the last time we had so much fun filming a video
God,
as
no,
that.
that was so much fun.
That was sensational.
So
we
great.
were in talks about buying it between us and splitting it afterwards. It was so
timeshare.
much fun. Yeah, so much fun.
Not cheap, though. Not cheap at all.
But worth it.
Yes. And finally, probably the most expensive car on my list, Porsche 356 Speedster.
well
You could go for the convertible, but if you're going to go there, you may as well.
Go the
Granted,
whole-
you're looking
the
at
whole
about 350 grand for a nice one. But still, look at the thing. Isn't it just the best Beetle-like you ever
Yeah,
saw?
that's a nice Beetle right there.
It's a very nice
No,
Beetle.
I can't-
Carroll Shelby spec, red, black roof.
I just think, I think 356, I think the bit in Top Gun.
Yes.
So,
Fair point.
there you go.
Fair point.
The Kawasaki bike and the 356.
Yes.
And
Bikes and Porsches. That's your
it's
dream
just
film
this is
right
it. I'm
there.
done. This is a great film. For me, I there's two. Yeah, one of them was a bit left field for me. So I went Rolls Royce Corniche convertible.
Yeah, nice.
Not going to pretend it's fast. It's going to be a bit scuttle shaky. It's not the most refined convertible experience to the point where you wouldn't notice the roof was off, but it looks the part. It's fantastically comfortable, and when you're driving with the roof down, you're not trying to go quickly and cut through corners and so on. So if you're not doing that, just embrace the waft, and no better car to waft in my eyes. You're 150 odd grand or so for a nice one of those now, so they are a lot of money, but it's a lot of car. Similar vein, one of the first convertibles I ever drove, actually, a video on the channel years and years ago, Alpha Giulietta Spider, 1950 spec. Again, we're talking proper Clint Eastwood, Marilyn Monroe, that kind of era. Again, Amalfi Coast, like you say. Armlet on the window, sunglasses, just beautiful. I've never felt more cool in my life until someone asked me if it was mine and I had to say no. But yeah, fabulous car. One day. Well, maybe.
We'll stick to the
the $2,000 budget for that. But yeah, no, fabulous car, just gorgeous. It's an Alpha. There's so many things wrong with it. It will break your heart and take your wallet. But for those 5 minutes, fantastic car.
Yeah.
And finally, you probably saw this coming. The convertible version of my dream car, my favourite car, the best car in the world, Citroen DS. Decapitable, which you can buy as a convertible.
Yep.
It's going to be 150 or 200,000 pounds to do so.
Good heavens.
But I think it's worth it because I think few cars with the roof down are as cool.
Surely that's Chief Wafter.
You would think. But yeah, absolutely beautiful. I'll be fair, I'll be transparent. With the roof up, they don't look quite right. It sort of looks too far. There's a lot of back end going on.
It's like a 996 sort of thing.
Why would you ever put the roof up? Keep it down.
Well,
And if money's no object, you've got a massive workshop.
We've got a
where you
garage,
just
exactly.
store
Yeah.
it.
I drive my Honda Beat instead.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that would have to be for me. That is lottery win spec, but why wouldn't you? Just
I'm
fantastic.
genuinely impressed with all of our choices, Jeff.
Really
Actually,
diverse.
The selection, the variety is, I think, top drawer.
We've
that's what we
spanned
strive for.
We've spanned about 50 or 60 years, all sorts of budgets, all countries, all engines.
I could have kept going, by the way. I had Triumph TR7s in there and everything else. So many options. No one's mentioned the Mazda MX-5.
No.
Yes.
well, I
Yes.
had one, so
Well,
I feel like it'd be a bit obvious.
And I didn't mention Honda S2000 because
No.
I had
I
one.
was thinking S2K. as
No,
well.
very true. Yeah, there's all sorts of choices.
So-
Well, why don't we bring it a bit down to earth a bit? Because we appreciate, as much as we went up to £10,000, that's still a lot of money for a lot of people. We don't have 10 grand each to spend on a car. So we went bargain basement, up to £2,000, and you have to be guaranteed to get one within that budget. You can't haggle and pinch and beg and borrow.
Yeah.
It has to be a guaranteed sub £2,000 convertible. Mr. Whedon, what are you going for?
Right, so the first two kind of fall under that kind of roadster category, and that is an MGF, because you picked one for you picked the TF.
The TF.
Yeah, the ratty one.
So you get a ratty MGF or MGTF.
Yep.
You'd probably need to spend the same again maintaining it if it's not being looked after. But let's
it's a
put that
future year
aside.
problem.
Mazda MX-5 MB
Yep, great choice.
might need a welder.
Still get. I was going to
No,
say,
no,
probably
Might need a
one.
welder.
might be a bit brand flaky.
Yeah.
Battery's not included.
Buy an MB and the weld is your oyster.
Yeah, there you
but
go.
anyway, but actually, the car I found for less than £2,000, which I would have tomorrow as my sub 2K choice, was a Rover R8 Cabrio.
You've got a bit of a thing for
It's
this,
a
haven't you?
216 with the Honda engine.
Yeah.
It wasn't even particularly nice condition. But anyway, I think as a kind of Temu version of a Golf Cabrio, why not?
You know what? Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, they're a great car.
Charming.
I wouldn't pick a convertible version of it, but they're great
No,
cars.
I imagine that is scuttle shaped.
Yes, probably.
But I agree, they're great cars.
So that's my cheap and cheerful.
Cheerful when you first look at it.
Yeah, exactly.
After the first 1,000 miles.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, there we go.
For me, controversial future classic of the week, actually. I've just put it up on the Facebook.
Is it an R52 Mini that we can
No, we've
rip
had
on
that
you
one.
this time?
Yeah, we've done
No,
that.
this is actually a PT Cruiser. Which,
wow.
you know, you're never going to want to be seen in it, but you can pretend to be Michael Scott from that one scene in The Office if you really want. But if you want something a little more sensible, Audi TT.
Convertible,
You
yes,
can
of
get
course.
a convertible. It will not be a 225. It will be a 180.
180, yep.
But, you know, it's
Yep.
fine. And it will be old and it will be probably have a few bits wrong with it. But it's fine. It's under $2,000. And it's an Audi, so, you know,
can get
it'll
the
be
bits
relatively
for 'em.
comfy.
Yeah.
You might have heated seats if you're very, very lucky.
Yeah.
It's a nice place
If you
to
can
be.
find one with the baseball interior as well.
Oh God, yeah. Something tells me that probably won't be.
I think the
less than
interior is probably
$2,000.
worth $2,000 on
Yeah,
its
something
own.
like that quite easily. But yeah, how about yourself? Lisa?
So there's a bit of a theme I'm noticing here for 90s turn of the century roadsters, and I'm continuing that theme. Mark III Toyota MR2.
Nice.
Because
Solid.
that's one of those cars we really are sleeping on. It's a poor man's Lotus Elise. They're fantastic fun. There's plenty of them around for that money, and there's a lot being broken as well, so you can get the bits for them. We did a project one on the channel, you can change the roof and so on. They do get a bit blowy uppy, as we know, particularly the pre-facelift cars. So you've got one of two options there. Either you find one that's already had its engine blow up and had another one put in it, or you buy a cheap one and you budget for another engine, which is genuinely possible within a $2,000 budget.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mark III and Mark II, I think we are properly sleeping on those. That is a great car.
And given the way Mark 1 and Mark 2 values have gone,
Yeah.
yeah, honestly, Mark II.
you're living on borrowed time, I reckon.
Yeah,
in a few
definitely.
years.
Yeah.
Well, not to mention, they don't rot like the early ones do.
Yeah.
And on an MR2, every single panel bolts off. So if you do have rust, you do have crash damage, anything like that, everything apart from the A pillars unbolts. So you can change every single
Or
panel.
you could just go the complete other way and just skeletonize
make your own
it and
aerial
drive it
atom. Yeah,
naked.
there you go. So those are our choices for various budgets if you want some wind in the hair motoring. But why don't you let us know down below, first of all, who picked the best? And then what you would take for each one of those budgets. So up to 2, up to 10, up to 20, and up to the sky is your limit, much like the headroom in most of our convertibles.
Quite.
But I'll let you do the normal spiel, sir. The end of
Oh
video
goodness.
spiel.
Well, in that case, yes, do like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Let us know what would be your choice for, you know, below 10,000, below £20,000. Money's no object. We all like to have a dream. But in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell if you'd like to see these videos come out as they are released. And with that, thank you very much for watching and goodbye.
Thank you. See you soon.
Did you do the T's and C's at the bottom of adverts talking? You were talking so quickly.
Yeah, it's a bit rich.
Your home is a
Thank
risk.
you very
Your home is a
much.
risk. You keep probably having a mortgage on the loan security.